Hello and welcome to another Lamp Bible study. My name is James, your host and Bible reader for Lamp Bible Study. And so, welcome to another Lamp Bible study. I'm so excited. I always can't wait for another Lamp Bible study, another Bible study time to spend in the Holy Word. And I pray that we continue to seek the Lord's wisdom together through His holy word. And so, welcome once again. If this is your first time joining us, I hope that this is an experience for you, that the Holy Spirit works through you and provides whatever information is needed, because everybody is going through life and everybody is experiencing different things at different times. And so you just never know what is needed. What is needed, whether it be a smile, whether it be an acknowledgement, whether it be laughter. So I hope we continue to study the Holy Word together. So again, welcome. And today we are going to continue in Second Samuel. We are in Second Samuel chapter 11. I'm currently reading from an NIV Collegiate Bible. And of course, as I mentioned before, I will be going through the different versions of the Bible, different translations, and even hopefully doing a side by side, one of those comparison Bibles where it has the different translations like Tree of Life, NIV, New King James, Holman's, all those different types of translations that they have, and so that way we can see, because words can make a difference in the scripture. So today has been it's been it's been a day. That's what I can say. It's been a day. It's been an interesting day. It's one of those. It's another day where I feel like I want to do more, again and again. And someone recently said it through his sermons, is that he even felt, this person felt the need to reach more, faster, quicker, and I feel that. I feel like almost like there's not enough time, but I need to hurry up, or I need to do more. I need to do what I can do for myself and for others, and spread the message, spread the love, because that's what the Bible is. It's a book of love, and where there's love, there's teaching, there's discipline, there's hope, there's support, all of that. Everything is wrapped up into the Holy Word. So, with all of that, let's get started today in Second Samuel chapter 11. David and Bathsheba. Oh boy. In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah, but David remained in Jerusalem. One evening, David got up from his bed and walked around on the roof of the palace. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful, and David sent someone to find out about her. The man said, "Isn't this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" Then David sent messengers to get her. She came to him, and he slept with her. She had purified herself from her uncleanness. Then she went back home. The woman conceived and sent word to David, saying, "I am pregnant." So we're already off to a bang. If you want to know, if you always want to read the greatest soap operas, which are like true stories, real life stories, read the Bible. If you ever wonder about things, read the Bible. I mean, it's not just there for entertainment purposes. There's plenty to learn and see from. I mean, these shows that we have today, a lot of the stuff, I mean, comes from real life. Let me give you a little background. So David has taken his rulership over Israel as king. He was anointed. He's blessed by the Lord, and he is very, very pleased to be in service of the Lord. And he's able to go out and totally conquer all the enemies of Israel, all the people, the ones, the nations and kingdoms around Israel that were attacking or mistreating Israel. So David's there and he's able to rout them. He even went as much in, as far as asking to build a temple for the Lord, a permanent place for the Lord, the ark of the Lord, to stay and within Israel, because it was still just in the tent. It was still in a tabernacle, a tent tabernacle. And so David had built a palace for himself and then realized, or maybe had realized before, but was thinking to himself, I have all this the Lord has blessed me with, and I want to do something. I want to give back. I want to provide something to the Lord. I want a permanent house for Him, something that is here and is permanent. And so Nathan had told him, that we read in previous Bible study, that the Lord was ready to make a covenant with him, and that it wouldn't be David that would build the permanent temple. It would be his son, and so, one of his son. And so David was just happy. And when we get to Psalm, David was a songwriter. He was a poet. He really knew how to express himself to the Lord. He really knew how to give love back to the Lord, to love with all your body, all your soul, all your strength. David was a prime example of that. And from David's line, Jesus as well. Jesus, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, comes from the line of David. And so the prophecy that Nathan gave him was not just about his son, but it was about eternity. And that's amazing. So here you have David, who is very, very well at following the commandments, the rules of the Lord, wanting to do everything he can for Israel as well, and the people. But unlike Jesus, he was not perfect. David was not perfect. He was a human too. And I've mentioned this in previous Bible studies. As we can see, sometimes we as humans, we put people on a pedestal, whether they be people we look up to, family, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, grandparents, etc., whether they be extended family and relatives, whether it be teachers, whether it be musicians, artists, leaders, whoever it may be, people who work in different type sections of society, police, firefighters, etc. We put people, sometimes we put people up on pedestals, and we get very upset, displeased, and we get very where we don't where we're to a point where it's their action, the person that we've uplifted, uphold to a higher standard and a higher level, we get hurt by their action to the point where it affects us completely about our thought process, and sometimes even prevents and creates a stumbling block of forgiveness as well. But we have to understand that we do need to understand that we are human and we do make mistakes, and that does not mean that those mistakes are not bad or are justified. It just means that here we're getting ready. David has done all these great things, all these great things. And at this point, a person, a reader, whether it's your first time or if this your one of these times that really get into this study, David has done all these great things. Like I just said, he has a really strong walk with the Lord. And right here, he lets into temptation. He lets into that sin. And Bathsheba, she was a married woman. A married woman. And remember the commandments. You're not to lie with a married woman. This is Bathsheba. She was a married woman. She went and lay with the king, King David. David wanted her. He sent for her. She came. They slept with each other, had an affair. What you may have of it, and now is pregnant. So, with the backstory, with the acknowledgement, again, as I was just speaking of bringing past to present and such, do things like this happen now? Yes. And so we have things to look at in the holy word to help us understand. And when we get confused or when we don't quite understand what we're looking at, what we're reading, we can pray about it and obtain that peace through the Lord. And so do these things happen? Is David's actions incorrect? Yes. Are there consequences to his actions? Think about it. The Lord gave commandments and rules. It has been broken. The Lord is justified to acknowledge that that the rules and laws and such have been broken, and he's holy. Therefore, he may take disciplinary action. When people love, especially when you love someone, whether they're your child or they're a parent, etc. And this goes, typically it's easier to talk about how parents are. Parents love their children, and they don't want their children to continue to do wrong or do wrong in the first place. And so when something bad happens, when their child chooses to do something bad, sometimes they have to take action in order to prevent it and a repeating of that. And sometimes, and that comes with discipline. You can look at it as hard as something like that, or you can look at it as lightly as discipline in ourselves. Addiction's one of them that just come up to my mind. Preventing yourself from doing something that you may be addicted to, or seeking treatment, or finding another way, or praying about it. All of that good stuff is very helpful to prevent actions that we may take that may be not good or unfortunate. Because there could be consequences as well to those. But you can look at it as in simple things. Discipline. Somebody says something wrong to you and you don't say anything back to them. There's all kinds of ways to look at this, and understand and recognize that what has just happened is wrong. What David has done is wrong, and we're going to learn and read as we read more into this to see what will happen or what's going to happen. And a note on top of a note is that when we do sin, and sin can lead to more and more of it. It's almost like an quenching thing. Like it just continues and continues and continues, and there's no fulfillment. There's zero fulfillment. You'll just keep on and keep on and keep on. The only fulfillment, the only thing that makes us whole is the Lord. So I know, right? It's just a lot. Sermons upon sermons. With all of that, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. So David sent this word to Joab: "Send me Uriah the Hittite." And Joab sent him to David. When Uriah came to him, David asked him how Joab was, how the soldiers were, and how the war was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." So Uriah left the palace, and a gift from the king was sent after him. But Uriah slept at the entrance to the palace with all his master's servants and did not go down to his house. So Uriah, just another quick note, was at war. He was at war. He was battling, and he was coming back. He was coming back, and so he was like, "Wow, I'm being summoned to the king," right? Let's continue to read. When David was told Uriah did not go home, he asked him, "Haven't you just come from a distance? Why didn't you go home?" Oh, and correct me if I'm wrong about that. I believe Uriah was at war because I believe that they were at battle. They were fighting somewhere, but we'll read on. Maybe not right now, but he was away. Anyways, let's continue to read. Uriah said to David, "The ark and Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my master Joab and my lord's men are camped in the open fields. How could I go to my house to eat and drink and lie with my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing." Shows Uriah has... Ooh, he's respectable. Then David said to him, "Stay here one more day, and tomorrow I will send you back." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. At David's invitation, he ate and drank with him, and David made him drunk. But in the evening, Uriah went out to sleep on his mat among his master's servants. He did not go home. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it to Uriah. In it, he wrote, "Put Uriah in the front line where the fighting is fiercest. Then withdraw from him so he will be struck down and die." So David is literally trying to have someone killed, murdered. And it's all because David is in love. Now remember, David has other wives at this time, right? So let's continue to read. So while Joab had the city under siege, he put Uriah at a place where he knew the strongest defenders were. When the men of the city came out and fought against Joab, some of the men in David's army fell. Moreover, Uriah the Hittite died. Joab sent David a full account of the battle. He instructed the messenger, "When you have finished giving the king this account of the battle, the king's anger may flare up, and he may ask you, 'Why did you get so close to the city to fight? Didn't you know they would shoot arrows from the wall? Who killed Abimelech, son of Jerub-Besheth? Didn't a woman throw an upper millstone on him from the wall so that he died in Thebes?'" Or Thebes? It could be Thebes or Thebes. "Why did you get so close to the wall? If he asks you this, then say to him, 'Also your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead.'" So in a sense, Joab was wanting to, he did what David told him to do, but he also was afraid because nobody likes to hear that they're losing a battle or lost a battle that day or something, along those lines. So he was kind of saying, okay, this is what you're going to tell him, but also tell him Uriah's dead. Isn't that the person that you sent me this weird message about? Let's continue to read. The messenger sent out, and when he arrived, he told David everything Joab had sent him to say. The messenger said to David, "The men overpowered us and came out against us in the open, but we drove them back to the entrance to the city gate. Then the archers shot arrows at your servants from the wall, and some of the king's men died. Moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead." David told the messenger, "Say this to Joab. Don't let this upset you. The sword devours one as well as another. Press the attack against the city and destroy it. So this to, or say this to encourage Joab. That messenger's probably like confused at this point. When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him. After the time of mourning was over, David had her brought to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord. Now, according to the law, to the rules, both David's anointed. David and this woman, Bathsheba, went against it. Is it right for anybody to do such a thing? Does things like this happen today? Absolutely. Is it right for that to happen? Absolutely not. We're going to continue to read to find out what's going to happen. There's information in here that provides us with that. Is that wrong? So one thing led to another. There was a lust after another woman who was married, and then there was a plot for murder. That tends to happen with sin. It builds up and it just continues and continues to get larger, and it just doesn't stop. And what can help us is hope in the Lord. Hope and freedom from sin through Jesus. And praying about that, and when you are of faith and when you do believe, when you do ask Christ into your heart, that we're not perfect though. It may not prevent us from sinning ever again. We may still get tempted. We may still sin. We still may do things even though we may be saved. We have that opportunity to reflect on what we did and possibly have a consequence here on earth, and ask for forgiveness and understand that even though we did something wrong, and it's something for us not to do, by walking through the Holy Spirit, having a good walk with the Lord, that helps prevent, especially when those temptations arise, not to give in and not to do those things. But if they do happen, and when they do happen, we do have an opportunity to ask for forgiveness and believe that God loved us enough to send His Son to die for our sins, and pray and ask for forgiveness and peace about it, and use it as a learning tool. Use it that we don't do it again. It's just like sticking a hand at a flame. It's hot. You don't know it's hot when you first see it. When you first come in contact with fire, then you get close to it and it's hot. You don't want to do that again. You don't want to burn yourself or cause serious injury or cause anyone else injury. So you use those as a learning tool. That's just an example that I could think of. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Nathan rebukes David. The Lord sent Nathan to David. When he came to him, he said, "There were two men in a certain town, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little ewe lamb he had bought. He raised it, and it grew up with him and his children. It shared his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had come to him. Instead, he took the ewe lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for the one who had come to him." David burned with anger against the man, and said to Nathan, As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this deserves to die. He must pay for that lamb 4 times over because he did such a thing and had no pity. Interesting how David's feeling right now. Let's continue to read. Then Nathan said to David, "You are the man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave your master's house to you and your master's wives into your arms. I gave you the house of Israel and Judah. And if all this had been too little, I would have given you even more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and took his wife to be your own. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now, therefore, the sword will never depart from your house, because you despised me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your own. This is what the Lord says: out of your own household, I am going to bring calamity upon you. Before your very eyes, I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in broad daylight before all Israel." Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Well, this is deep, right? Nathan was a prophet at the time. Nathan was the one that told him what the Lord had said about how his line will be blessed, right? And now, because of David's actions, there still will be someone on the throne in the family of David. However, he's going to have some consequences now. In fact, all of this is prophecy right here. Take note of what Nathan just said. Before your very eyes, I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. So he's going to allow for someone to have their temptation and give into it and take action. Someone close to David. Think about it. Because of what David has done. And so Nathan's telling him. And now David is, whether it's coming to his senses or realizing or reflecting on what he did, because here he is starting to be a little self-righteous, right? Like thinking in a way that you would think, okay, that does sound good. He was ready to defend the poor man, but at the same time, he did exactly what this story, this made-up story, this tale that Nathan had told him, he did exactly that. David did exactly that. He took from somebody who was not the king, who was not someone that had that type of authority and sway. And he did exactly this. And again, it relates to the previous question. Do things like this happen today? Yes, unfortunately. And so don't think that just good things are going to come from it. You get your way. You may feel like you get your way in the end, but there may be consequences to it. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied, the Lord has taken away your sin. You're not going to die, but because by doing this you have made the enemies of the Lord show utter contempt. The son born to you will die. After Nathan had gone home, the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife had borne to David, and he became ill. David pleaded with God for the child. He fasted and went into his house and spent the nights lying on the ground. The elders of his household stood beside him to get him up from the ground, but he refused, and he would not eat any food with them. On the seventh day, the child died. That's a lot. David's servants were afraid to tell him that the child was dead, for they thought, while the child was still living, we spoke to David, but he would not listen to us. How can we tell him the child is dead? He may do something desperate. David noticed that his servants were whispering among themselves, and he realized the child was dead. Is the child dead? He asked. Yes, they replied. He is dead. Then David got up from the ground after he had washed, put on lotions, and changed his clothes. He went into the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he went to his own house, and at his request, they served him food and he ate. So he's come to realize that there was consequences. And this love child that he had fell ill and ended up passing away because of all of this action. When man takes action, when men take action, women take action, when we as a people take action, and it's not what the Lord wants us to do. Sorry, I just kicked everything. Without going to the Lord first, consequences can happen. Consequences can happen. The Lord can turn those things. Sometimes we're going to read further because there's things that can happen that the Lord can turn around too and still utilize those sinful actions, even in a big way, which we'll read on further. But there are consequences, and we hate being bad things happen. I just did it again. We hate when bad things happen. We hate when we feel like there's more punishment, or it hurts more than it. But you never know. You may think that you did a small thing. You stole $5. You walked out of a store with lip balm or something. You may think you've done a small thing, but we don't look at the big picture about how it contributes. You may have not smiled at someone. That not smiling could have changed their mind for the day, and they may have not killed themselves or killed other people. You never know the smallest thing or the largest thing, what effects it has on life. And so, taking a look at this story, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at it. And one way is this way: is that you never know what our sin and the full amount of consequences that can come. It may not even come back to you. It may just destroy all kinds of other things that you may or may not end up seeing. But it can happen. And then when it does happen to us, when we do start having bad things happen to us, you just want it to end. You just want it to be over with, and you feel like it's just too much. But in the term, what we may have done may have been way too much. It may have been even worse. It could have been a cascade waterfall effect, and we have no idea because we're too busy in ourselves and how we're feeling and how we want to be done with whatever it is, the negativity or the punishment. But we have no idea. And so those are things to think about. Bad things can happen, and when they do, especially if we had some role in it, or if we did something in the past, or did something and felt like we got away with it, maybe. Do you understand? We have to accept accountability too. We have to accept that bad things do happen and can happen. Sometimes you may not do anything and bad things will happen because there can be a test. But in this story, we're talking about things about our own actions, your actions, my actions, and how they can lead to discipline, how they can lead to bad things happening, and how to take responsibility, how to turn around and say, like David said, I have sinned. pray to the Lord, I have sinned, I have done this. Please forgive me. I understand I still may have consequences, or I might be going through them or such, but I know through you there's hope. And I know through you, through time and time again, people in the Bible turning back to you, ourselves included, you you will uplift us. You will take that yoke off of us. You will take that heavy burden, and you will allow for us to come through and to understand and learn from this. So there's a lot here. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. His servants asked him, "Why are you acting this way? While the child was alive, you fasted and wept, but now that the child is dead, you get up and eat." They're, they're like, he's not going around being super angry. Um, if any of them been during Saul's days, Saul was angry several times, many of times, and he took it out on people, right? So they're freaking out. They're like, what's wrong? He just lost a child. Why is he acting like nothing happened?" Let's continue to read. He answered, "While the child was still alive, I fasted and wept. I thought, who knows? The Lord may be gracious to me and let the child live. But now that he is dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I will go to him, but he will not return to me." So David was accepting of the fact that this has happened, and it was tough, and it was difficult. And then this is another one of those. My face always. I have to catch myself sometimes. Like, this is another one of those controversial moments. Like, this is a consequence that we're reading in the Old Testament, during the law, during all this other stuff. And we don't know the situation, and we don't know, like, there there are similar situations as of today. Medically, it could happen. A couple could come in, they procreated, and they're ready to have this baby, and the baby doesn't make it, or there's an issue right now when it comes to this, health wise, and it may be because it just happened. It may not. There may have nothing to do with punishment or nothing of that. It may be just the way it is. What we need to understand is that all children, when they don't know yes, no, when they don't know what's good, the difference between good and evil, when they aren't able to get to that point, they go directly to the Lord. People keep forgetting that random things happen. Person could be pregnant, they could get in a car wreck and lose a child. They had nothing to do with with like with harm. It was a random act. Things There's just a lot to this, and in this case, I believe that this child spirit would have went to the Lord, would have went directly to the Lord, not had to deal with being in pain of sickness and having a horrible life. He just went directly to the Lord. And it's hard, it's tough to talk about these because you never know. It's so random, and there's so many different outcomes, and there's so much diversity in it. There's so much differences in it. There's different circumstances. There's different things that happen, and when it comes to healthcare, each and every person would be able to think about that and have time to meditate that. Like we have doctors today, talk to their doctor, seek help, and then if all when it comes down to it, whatever is medically, when it's needed. There could be a time where someone could just have too much difficulty and not be able to carry or not be able to. So there's a lot, not be able to give birth or something. There's a lot to it. There's a lot there to it. And each and every person's story is different. And each and every person has the right to have guidance through their faith, through the holy walk, through others, through people who can help them with medical knowledge, with whatever they need support, and things can happen and choices can be made, and you just never know. You never know because we each were not placed on this earth as something that is without choice, without being able to decide ourselves. Do we accept the Lord and what He has to say, and what or not? We are given that choice, and the Lord loves us so much that He's done all kinds of things for us, and circumstances happen in life, and things can happen in life, and we may make a choice, and that is something that we have to deal with, and there could be consequences. There may not be consequences that we can see or think of, but we all have the hope in the Lord, whether it's done or not, so where it comes to this story, with this story, it is David. He Bathsheba had a child. The child became ill, and the child passed away. And so David understood that there was a consequence to his action, that stuff was not done at all according to the law and such. Yeah, he's anointed, but may have been stoning that didn't happen. It didn't mean that there wasn't any punishment, or there won't be punishment. We'll read on and such, but there's a lot to this. And again, each and every single person is different. Each and every person has the right to have that difference, and has the right to go through life however they see that they need to go through life. That's because that's what the Lord gave us. He gave us that. He said, I'm not going to dictate these people. I created them in my image, but I'm not going to force them to in life, in their short life, to love me back. I want them to love me because I want to spend time in eternity with them. And so each and every one of us that are of the faith, our role is to help with love, with help with the word, with help by giving support, by giving encouragement, and by giving love. And even when people do things, and again, that's back to putting people on a pedestal, because this is going to be a moment on this Bible study. Things, there is consequences. We can still love. We can still forgive, just like the Lord forgave us. Even though we may think we did something small, it's not. Sin is sin in the eyes of the Lord. Across the board, it's the exact same thing. It's the same level. Lord can't be with it. And we never know how each and every one of us, and we don't know. You think, oh my goodness, this thing happened and it's sin. No, it not necessarily is so. It could be because it was supposed to be. It could be whatever choice that person made. It was because of it's in line and it's being utilized. It's not saying that bad things. I'm not saying that sin or bad things are good. I'm at all. That's not what this is about. What I'm saying is that sometimes things do happen, and it could be because a waterfall effect. It could be because of something else has happened, and someone and that someone started, and then it just waterfalls down, and it could be bad choices and such. You just never know. There's so much differences in life, differences in walks, and so whenever there's confusion, whenever there's misunderstandings, whenever there's the need for wisdom, I always say go straight to the Lord. Even when it comes to things like abortion. Yep, there I did. I said it. We can go to the Lord, because you never know each and every person's circumstance or what they're going through, what they're doing, what health wise. We don't know. We don't know. And so each and every person is different. It's different for every single person. And the Lord gives us a right to decide what we're going to do. And, the Lord talks about this, having faith of a mustard seed. But let me tell you, I always feel like, oh, yes, I love the Lord. And and in the back of my mind, I have that doubt. Like, I can't tell even a piece of grass to move from one place to another. How am I going to tell a mountain to move from one place to another? That's that's a lack of faith, honestly. And that's against me. That's on me. Brings a lot. There's a lot here. Um, and again, the Holy Spirit talks to us, and what we learn and grasp from the Holy Spirit, what we learn and grasp, may be different. There were arguments with apostles too. So, with all of that, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Ooh, there's a lot. There's a lot. Um, he answered, while the child was still alive, okay, so we already read all that. There we go. Um, Bring him back again. Okay. Then David comforted his wife Bathsheba, and he went to her and lay with her. She gave birth to a son, and they named him Solomon. The Lord loved him, and because the Lord loved him, he sent word through Nathan the prophet to name him Jedediah. So, this happened. They lost a child. They conceived again and had a son. And his name was Solomon. Remember, the Lord can turn around things and utilize things that shouldn't have been, but he can still utilize them. And that's, again, back to the whole thing, the healthcare. People don't understand. Everybody's different. And one thing could happen because it was supposed to happen, but we don't understand that it was supposed to happen. And then something good can come out from it. But we think that we have control. That's another thing about it. Even when it comes to abortion, man thinks that. I'm still trying to figure out in the Bible where it says God needed a person's help in order to just do anything. If I'm wrong, please put it all up in the Bible. I'm not talking about somebody be like, I know you before birth, because that obviously the Lord already was working, and he was like, I'm not that has to do with God's control. He knows when people are going to be he knows when people are going to be born. He knows who's going to be born. He knows each and every person's name. He's the past, present, and future. He can utilize us. That's another thing. The Lord can utilize each and every person, even people who don't believe in him. Balaam, anybody? Another person, that Nebuchadnezzar, the people. I mean, there's all kinds of people in the Bible that were like had nothing to do with the Lord, and they were utilized. And so we have to give the Lord credit, and we have to give him his just due, and we have to give him his praise and bless him and lean on him and trust him, because when it comes to us, we fail. I'm just going to throw it out there. Like, we can try again, but without the Lord, you can think we're doing as much good. You could do as much. I could do as much good in the world as we may feel and think that we're doing, and think because we're using our own self-righteousness, and we're like, Lord, I got this. I got this. I'm going to help you. I'm going to do what you couldn't. And that's when I light my invisible cigarette because that's a bunch of, it's wrong. It's incorrect. The Lord can utilize us, and the Lord will utilize us. The Lord can work through us because he loves us. He loves each and every one of us. He wants to see us. It's difficult to see something you created and you love so much go through hard times. Have it hard. You all you want to do is give rewards, but when they're doing wrong, there comes discipline. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? And you may feel incorrect. You may think I am way off. You could be like, look, this is what I believe. And I say, pray about it. And if you are prayed up, absolutely go for it. Go for it. If you do have a moment though, and you disagree with any of this, I always say place comment, place something, send an email even. But also put in what you believe and how you believe it, if you're able to do that. Because like I said, even apostles, even the Lord's apostles, even Jesus' apostles had arguments. Let's continue to read. So David mustered. Okay. Meanwhile, Job fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and captured the royal citadel. Job then sent messengers to David saying, I have fought against Rabbah and taken its water supply. Now muster the rest of the troops and besiege the city and capture it. Otherwise, I will take the city and it will be named after me. So David mustered the entire army and went to Rabbah and attacked and captured it. He took the crown from the head of their king. Its weight was a talent of gold, and it was set with precious stones, and it was placed on David's head. He took a great quantity of plunder from the city and brought out the people who were there, consigning them to labor with saws and with iron picks and axes, and he made them work at brick making. He did this to all the Ammonite towns. Then David and his entire army returned to Jerusalem. Ooh, a lot here. A lot here. And then it could be that sin is sin. Man, just and then I believe though, the more we live and the more we love each other, the more we ourselves follow in the way, and the more we show love. Love's not persecuting. Love's not demoralizing. Love is not punishing. There's a difference between discipline and punishment. In essence, as in you're not going out of your way to do something. You're utilizing discipline to correct something compared to vilifying. And so there's a lot to it. And I do believe that will help lead to less and less issues, less and less sinning, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be. Even if it's something done on purpose. Because some people believe, think about it this way too. Because some people believe that, again, I'm going to just bring it up, abortion, that a person that is stopping a process to give birth and bring in a life, because the Lord does talk about how children are a blessing, right? And so and people do believe that that's in other ways sometimes controlling what God's trying to do, but that you can't control what God or trying to end the actual life, which is if that if there is a life there, it goes directly to God because it doesn't know good and evil, but it's a sin. Okay, so if and this is not talking about like health issues or none or it's this is literally just talking about that actual choice when there's nothing else there. Think about that though. When you got up in the morning and a person drove to their work or drove around or walked a block and you saw a poor person, did you stop and help them, or did you just walk by? When someone asked for help, did you help them or did you walk by? When you see a thing at a store or you see donations wanted and you can donate, but you don't feel like it. There's a lot to it. So when someone is revealing something, especially when they're speaking it with their mouth, whenever they're talking to someone, it's a confession. Whether they're talking to someone through other people who do believe or not, if they're saying something that is that if that person, I'm talking about people that believe that it's a sin, right? Those people also need to understand what it is when you reveal your sin to other people and how that feels. And so it may not be necessarily a sin. It may be something that is going to happen because it's happening. It may be something that was chosen. It may not be looked at that way as a sin. But in other cases, if from other people, how they feel and believe, they may think it's a sin. Okay, there's still forgiveness though, right? Because God forgave us, right? The Lord sent his son to die on a cross for all of us. So that's what is something else to think about too, right? When it comes to reading the Bible and getting that. So let's say that you are feeling that it's wrong, right? Okay. We all have choices though. The Lord's not in his 1,000-year reign yet. Right? But we also need to believe and have faith and love, because that love and that real love that we get from Jesus, though through the Holy Spirit, it flows off of us, and it makes you want to give love, and it makes you want to receive love, and it makes you want to live with love, and it makes you want to not sin and not give into temptations, and it makes you not want to do things that could harm others and harm yourself. And with that spreads. With more of faith, helps prevent that. With more of actually giving it to the Lord and letting the Lord deal with that, and have the Lord. That's what's needed, because the Lord wants us to understand that we need to humble ourselves and we depend on the Lord for everything. We didn't make this air. We didn't make water. We need both of those just to live. Food. And the Lord created all those things. And then he gave us opportunities to receive those. And then he blessed us with those. He blessed us with life. Life's eternal. Though we may die in the flesh, our spirit lives on in eternity. And he wants to live with us. And there's only one thing. We may sin, we may do something wrong, but there's only one thing, and that is believing in Jesus Christ our Lord. So think about it. Some things that we think, oh, that's a sin. Or why? Why do we think that? Because we think it? Pray about it. And then also understand, too, when you're talking about other people, understand that you're talking about yourself. When people talk about other people, especially in their wrongs and whatever they may be doing wrong and stuff, there is not one perfect human being. There was one. There was only one in all of life, in all of history. He is at the right hand of God. He is the Son of God. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus Christ, or Yahshua, or Adonai, or we can go on the list. This Bible study is gonna be long. Fair warning, because it's there's only one. So when we talk about other people, we're also talking about ourselves. And we want love, and we want forgiveness, and we want that feeling of hope. We want to be fulfilled. So our fulfillment is with the Lord. And so we're to love each other. And so there's just a ton here. There's just a ton here. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? This is one of those places where taboo, where things can come up. And I always tell people it's okay. Like, even myself, I do it sometimes. When I know something's off and I just don't want to hear it, I shut it out. I stop. And I need to take a moment, understand that if I'm not able to communicate, then that might be something that I need to do. But if it's something that I can communicate, I need to pray, and I need to bring myself to a point where I can communicate where there's differences. It's difficult. It's difficult for myself. It may be difficult for you. It's difficult for all of us when it comes to arguments, and when it comes to different thoughts and different feelings and such. Know that you have peace through the Lord. Pray about it. Obtain that peace, and then when you have that peace, you can continue on. Let's continue to read. So David mustered the entire army and went to... Okay, I think I read all this. Yeah, yes. Amnon and Tamar. More. This is drama. These next chapters, like today was going to be drama day. In the course of time, Amnon, son of David, fell in love with Tamar, the beautiful sister of Absalom, son of David. So these are like half brothers, half sisters. Amnon became frustrated to the point of illness on the account of his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and it seemed impossible for him to do anything to her. Now Amnon had a friend named Jonadab, son of Shemiah, David's brother. Jonadab was a very shrewd man. He asked Amnon, "Why do you, the king's son, look so haggard morning after morning? Won't you tell me?" Amnon said to him, "I'm in love with Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister." "Go to bed and pretend to be ill," Jonadab said. "When your father comes to see you, say to him, I would like my sister Tamar to come and give me something to eat. Let her prepare the food in my sight, so I may watch her and then eat it from her hand." So Amnon lay down and pretended to be ill. When the king came to see him, Amnon said to him, I would like my sister Tamar to come and make some special bread in my sight, so I might eat from her hand. David sent word to Tamar at the palace, go to the house of your brother, Amnon, and prepare some food for him. So Tamar went to the house of her brother, Amnon, who was lying down. She took some dough, kneaded it, made the bread in his sight, and baked it. Then she took the pan and served him the bread, but he refused to eat. Send everyone out here of here, Amnon said. So everyone left him. Then Amnon said to Tamar, bring the food here into my bedroom so I may eat from your hand. And Tamar took the bread she had prepared and brought it to her brother Amnon in his bedroom. But when she took it to him to eat, he grabbed her and said, come to bed with me, my sister. Remember what Nathan said? It has begun. People are giving into their temptations. Don't, my brother, she said to him. Don't force me. Such a thing should not be done in Israel. Don't do this wicked thing. What about me? Where could I get rid of my disgrace? And what about you? You would be like one of the wicked fools in Israel. Please speak to the king. He will not keep me from being married to you. But he refused to listen to her. Since he was stronger than she, he raped her. Sad. Mm-mm-mm. And since he was stronger than she, he raped her. This is right under David's. And she even said, like, let's do this the right way, whether she was interested in him or not. She was like, don't do it this way. A lot here. Let's continue to read. Then Amnon hated her with intense hatred. In fact, he hated her more than he had loved her. Amnon said to her, get up and get out. No, she said to him, sending me away would be a greater wrong than what you have already done to me. But he refused to listen to her. He called his personal servant and said, get this woman out of here and bolt the door after her. So his servant put her out and bolted the door after her. She was wearing a richly ornamented robe, for this was the kind of garment the virgin daughters of the king wore. Tamar put ashes on her head and tore the ornamented robe she was wearing. She put her hand on her head and went away, weeping aloud as she went. Her brother Absalom said to her, Has the Amnon, has that Amnon your brother been with you? Be quiet now, my sister. He is your brother. Don't take this thing to heart. And Tamar lived in her brother Absalom's house, a desolate woman. When King David heard all this, he was furious. Absalom never said a word to Amnon, either good or bad. He hated Amnon because he had disgraced his sister Tamar. Does these things happen today? Yes. It happens. Let's think about it. Recently, in news, we're already there on this subject, so might as well continue. Recently on the news, there was a little girl who was raped. I know I'm even saying this after weeks after, but I know this is going to be even further after when this air or when this shows on the channel. Think about what she went through, the torture, the hurt, the pain, the agony, the thoughts, everything. She was only 10 years old. And she ended up pregnant. whether whether she could have lived or not through a pregnancy, it's the damage is already done mentally, physically. And it was something that may have needed to be done for her to feel something, to be able to move past. And so it's difficult. And that's what I said about each and every single situation. Women are to be treated like we are to all to be treated as love. And women are to be treated just like anyone else with love. They're to be treated preciously, just as life is each and every one of us. And so when things like that happen, there's hope though. There's hope in the Lord. There's praying, there's peace given through the Holy Spirit, through the Lord. And there's decisions that have to be made and need to be made. And so we have to look at each and every person, and we have to pray and allow the Lord to work through them. Allow the Lord to help them make a decision. And what decision they make, that's the decision they make. There's a lot here. There's a lot here, bringing past to present. Is it wrong for Amnon to do what he did? Absolutely. Do we know that there's going to be consequence? There's a possibility. The Lord has the right to discipline even his own. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Absalom kills Amnon. And there's so much in here that I don't feel like I even have enough time. I'm just going to continue because there's a lot. We'll go over this again. And when I get to these verses and when I get to this, I may feel completely different at a different time because I may be at a different place in my life, or I may have even additional wisdom that the Lord has revealed to me. But there's just so much to it here. And that's why I always say, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Again, let's continue to read. Absalom kills Amnon. Didn't I say it's going to be drama filled? 2 years later, when Absalom's sheep shearers were at Baal Hazor, near the border of Ephraim, he invited all the king's sons to come there. Absalom went to the king and said, "Your servant has had shearers come. Will the king and his officials please join me?" "No, my son," the king replied. "All of us should not go. We would only be a burden to you." Although Absalom urged him, he still refused to go, but he gave him his blessing. Then Absalom said, "If not, please let my brother Amnon come with us." The king asked him, "Why should he go with you?" But Absalom urged him. So he went with him, Amnon and the rest of the king's sons. Absalom ordered his men, "Listen, when Amnon is in high spirits from drinking wine, and I say to you, strike Amnon down, then kill him. Don't be afraid. Have not I given you this order? Be strong and brave." So Absalom's men did to Amnon what Absalom had ordered. Then all the king's sons got up, mounted their mules, and fled. Another murder. Remember, David was doing it. He made the wrong choice, and boom, like a waterfall. That's what I said. Remember, you never know. While they were while they were on their way, the report came to David, "Absalom has struck down all the king's sons. Not one of them is left." The king stood up, tore his clothes, and lay down on the ground. And all his servants stood by with their clothes torn. So already, I think it was just one of the sons, not all of them. But remember, the sons fled. So let's... why is this person telling them differently? Remember, we just literally read that the Amnon is in high spirits, drinking wine. Strike Amnon down, then kill him. Don't be afraid. And so then all the king's sons got up, mounted their mules, and fled. So only Amnon was killed. So this person is giving it's like, maybe it was like one of those telephone instances where one person told another, and so it mounted up to something that it wasn't. Let's continue to read. But Jonadab, son of Shemiah, David's brother, said, "My lord should not think that they killed all the princes. Only Amnon is dead. This has been Absalom's expressed intention ever since the day Amnon raped his sister Tamar. My lord the king should not be concerned about the report that all the king's sons are dead. Only Amnon is dead." And it's almost like Jonadab was like nonchalantly talking to him, too. Meanwhile, Absalom had fled. Now the man standing watch looked up and saw many people on the road west of him, coming down down the side of the hill. The watchman went and told the king, I see men in the direction of Horonaim on the side of the hill." Jonadab said to the king, "See, the king's sons are here. It has happened just as your servant said." As he finished speaking, the king's sons came in, wailing loudly. The king too, and all his servants wept very bitterly. Absalom fled and went to Talmai, son of Ammihud, the king of Geshur. But King David mourned for his son every day. After Absalom fled and went to Geshur, he stayed there 3 years. And the spirit of the king longed to go to Absalom, for he was consoled concerning Amnon's death. So, all of his sons, right? All of David's sons, remember, David had all these wives, and so, jealousies, rages, family things. Does these things happen? Absolutely. Consequences. One thing can lead to a cascade of others, and you never know. It could be something small, like all I did was this, and it winds up being huge. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Absalom returns to Jerusalem. Joab, son of Zeruiah, knew that the king's heart longed for Absalom. So Joab sent someone to Tekoa and had a wise woman brought from there. He said to her, "Pretend you're in mourning, dress in mourning clothes, and don't use any cosmetic lotions. Act like a woman who has spent many days grieving for the dead. Then go to the king and speak these words to him." And Joab put the words in her mouth. Then, when the women from Tekoa went to the king, she fell with her face to the ground to pay him honor. And she said, "Help me, O king." The king asked, What is troubling you?" She said, "I am indeed a widow. My husband is dead. I, your servant, had 2 sons. They got into a fight with each other in the field, and no one was there to separate them. One struck the other and killed him. Now the whole clan has risen up against your servant. They say, 'Hand over the one who struck his brother down, so that we may put him to death for the life of his brother whom he killed. Then we will get rid of their heir as well. They would put out the only burning coal I have left, leaving my husband neither name nor descendant on the face of the earth.'" Remember that eye for eye, tooth for tooth stuff? Reason for reason. But did we understand? Did they understand it completely? Let's continue to read. The king said to the woman, Go home, the king said to the woman, "Go home, and I will issue an order in your behalf." But the woman from Tekoa said to him, oh my goodness, lip balm, "My lord the king, let the blame rest on me and on my father's family, and let the king and his throne be without guilt." The king replied, "If anyone says anything to you, bring him to me, and he will not bother you again." She said, "Then let the king invoke the Lord his God to prevent the avenger of blood from adding to the destruction, so that my son will not be destroyed. As surely as the Lord lives," he said, "not one hair of your son's head will fall to the ground." Interesting, right? Then the woman said, "Let your servant speak a word to my lord the king." "Speak," he replied. The woman said, "Why then have you devised a thing like this against the people of God? When the king says this, he does not convict himself, for the king has not brought back his banished son." Like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be recovered, so we must die. But God does not take away life. Instead, he devises ways so that a banished person may not remain estranged from him. Man does not always understand. See, Jesus did because he was of God, and what God reveals to man through where it be prophet or through like in the past and now people. Because there be prophet, I'm not sure today, but the Lord can reveal it to anybody? Can be revealing to anybody. It's His wisdom, and it says it right here, even in the past, even in the Old Testament. Instead, so we must die, but God does not take away life. Instead, he devises ways so that a banished person may not remain estranged from him. He's talking about us. He's talking about people, in sin, right? He sent his only son so we can believe in him. So we can believe that we are dead to sin. We're not locked with sin. We are no longer with that. We are no longer punished eternally for that. We have Jesus. And so he's just talking, this is past, present, future, all of it. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. And now I have come to say this to my lord the king, because the people have made me afraid. Your servant thought, I will speak to the king. Perhaps he will do what his servant asks. Perhaps the king will agree to deliver his servant from the hand of the man who is trying to cut off both me and my son from the inheritance God gave us. And now your servant says, may the word of my lord the king bring me rest. For my lord the king is like an angel of God and discerning good and evil. May the Lord your God be with you. Ooh, this is deep. Let's continue to read. Then the king said to the woman, do not keep from me the answer to what I am going to ask you. Let my lord speak, or let my lord the king speak, the woman said. The king asked, isn't the hand of Joab with you in all this? The woman answered, as surely as you live, my lord the king, no one can turn to the right or to the left from anything my lord the king says. Yes, it was your servant Joab who instructed me to do this, and who put all these words into the mouth of your servant. Your servant Joab did this to change the present situation. My lord has wisdom like that of an angel of God. He knows everything that happens in the land. The king said to Joab, very well, I will do it. Go bring back the young man Absalom. Joab fell with his face to the ground to pay him honor, and he blessed the king. Joab said, today your servant knows that he has found favor in your eyes, my lord the king, because the king has granted his servant's request. Then Joab went to Geshur and brought Absalom back to Jerusalem. But the king said, he must go to his own house. He must not see my face. So Absalom went to his own house and did not see the face of the king. In all Israel there was not a man so highly praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the top of his head to the sole of his foot, there was no blemish in him. Whenever he cut the hair of his head, he used to cut his hair from time to time when it became too heavy for him. He would weigh it, and its weight was 200 shekels by the royal standard. Wow. He would let his hair grow out pretty a lot. 3 sons and a daughter were born to Absalom. The daughter's name was Tamar, and she became a beautiful woman. Interesting, right? Absalom lived 2 years in Jerusalem without seeing the king's face. Then Absalom sent for Joab in order to send him to the king, but Joab refused to come to him. So he sent a second time, but he refused to come. Then he said to his servants, look, Joab's field is next to mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire. So Absalom's servants set the field on fire. A little much, right? Then Joab did go to Absalom's house, and he said to him, why have your servants set my field on fire? He's going to the extreme. Absalom said to Joab, "Look, I sent word to you and said, 'Come here so I can send you to the king to ask, why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me if I were still there. Now then, I want to see the king's face, and if I'm guilty of anything, let him put me to death.' So Joab went to the king and told him this. Then the king summoned Absalom, and he came in and bowed down with his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. So David was forgiven of his son. It just took him time. Time is sometimes what it takes. Did Absalom go to extreme again? Yes, but Joe wasn't going, and then Joe was like, "What did you just do?" That was significant. What kind of bringing past to present? Do we go to extremes? Absolutely. Sometimes we do overkill on things, like we do overly, as the saying goes, on things, and we don't need to. We don't have to. The Lord's always at work. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. Absalom's conspiracy. In the course of time, Absalom provided himself with a chariot and horses, and with 50 men to run ahead of him. He would get up early and stand by the side of the road leading to the city gate. Ooh, yeah. I thought this part was coming. Whenever anyone came with a complaint to be placed before the king for a decision, Absalom would call out to him, "What town are you from?" He would answer, "Your servant is from one of the tribes of Israel." Then Absalom would say to him, "Look, your claims are valid and proper, but there is no representative of the king to hear you." And Absalom would add, "If only I were appointed judge in the land, then everyone who has a complaint or case could come to me, and I would see that he gets justice." He's like a politician. He's like doing politician stuff. Also, whenever anyone approached him to bow down before him, Absalom would reach out his hand, take hold of him, and kiss him. Absalom behaved in this way toward all the Israelites who came to the king asking for justice, and so he stole the hearts of the men of Israel. So he's flattering. He's very, very flattering to the people. At the end of 4 years, Absalom said to the king, "Let me go to Hebron and fulfill a vow I made to the Lord. While your servant was living at Geshur in Aram, I made this vow. If the Lord takes me back to Jerusalem, I will worship the Lord in Hebron." Straight up scheming. The king said to him, "Go in peace." So he went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent secret messengers throughout the tribes of Israel to say, "As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, then say, 'Absalom is king in Hebron.'" 200 men from Jerusalem had accompanied Absalom. They had been invited as guests and went quite innocently, knowing nothing about the matter. While Absalom was offering sacrifices, he also sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, to come from Gilo, his hometown, and so the conspiracy gained strength, and Absalom's following kept on increasing. David flees. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do a quick pause. So, as we can see, and I just gave it away, Absalom continues. Absalom, his sister, was raped, and then he killed his brother, his half brother, and I believe, and then he fled, and then he decided to. He was demanding. He wanted to be forgiven. He wanted to be back in the palace again. So that happened, and then he was doing what he wanted to do. I mean, none of these times do I hear Absalom went to the Lord. In fact, so far, 2 of his children, none of these times it said, and they went to the Lord and asked. They just doing what they want to do. And those don't always turn out good, right? So, do we do that? Do we always, again, similar question, hasn't changed. Do we do that? Do we try to force things? Do we do things I mean, yeah, I've done it. I hopefully not, but when the temptation's there, when the quick thinking is there, and I'm like, I can't quickly, and which is wrong, because you can quickly have a discussion with God. You can always bring it up before God. And that's what I have to work on. We have to work on. Everybody has to work on. Whether it's whatever it is, we're to bring everything before the Lord. And so, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. David flees. A messenger came and told David, the hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom. Then David said to all his officials who were with him in Jerusalem, come, we must flee, or none of us will escape from Absalom. We must leave immediately, or he will move quickly to overtake us and bring a ruin upon us and put the city to the sword. The king's officials answered him, your servants are ready to go do whatever our lord the king chooses. The king set out with his entire household following him, but he left 10 concubines to take care of the palace. So the right? He left 10 concubines to take him. So the king set out with all the people following him, and they halted at a place some distance away. All his men marched past him, along with all his Kerethites and Pelethites and all the 600 Gittites who had accompanied him from Gath marched before the king. The king said to Ittai the Gittite, why should you come along with us? Go back and stay with King Absalom. You are a foreigner, in exile from your homeland. You came only yesterday, and today shall I make you wander about with us when I do not know where I am going? Go back and take your countrymen. May kindness and faithfulness be with you. But Ittai or It replied to the king, as surely as the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king may be, whether it means life or death, there will your servant be. David said to Ittai, go ahead, march on. So Ittai the Gittite marched on with all his men and the families that were with him. The whole countryside wept aloud as all the people passed by. The king also crossed the Kidron Valley, and all the people moved on toward the desert. Zodok was there, too, and all the Levites who were with him were carrying the Ark of the Covenant of God. They set down the Ark of God, and Abiathar offered sacrifices until all the people had finished leaving the city. So they even had the Ark. They even took the Ark with them, and David was having it carried properly with the Levites. It says a lot. Says a lot. So he would do, he's done these things, but he would humble himself and return to the Lord, and then would once again follow what the Lord wanted him to do. And so, is he kind of acting like he is running? He's in fear. Did he go straight to the Lord? Well, let's continue to read and find out how this goes. Then the king said to Zodok, take the ark of the God back into the city. If I find favor in the Lord's eyes, he will bring me back and let me see it in his dwelling place again. But if he says, I am not pleased with you, then I am ready. Let him do to me whatever seems good to him. The king also said to Zodok the priest, aren't you a seer? Go back to the city in peace with your son Ahimaaz and Jonathan, son of Abiathar. You and Abiathar take your 2 sons with you. I will wait at the fords in the desert until word comes from you to inform me. So Zadok and Abiathar took the Ark of God back to Jerusalem and stayed there. But David continued up the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went. His head was covered, and he was barefoot. All the people with him covered their heads too and were weeping as they went up. Now David had been told Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. So David prayed, O Lord, turn Ahithophel's counsel into foolishness. So David once again is going to God with these concerns, with these issues, and showing us once again what we are to do, you and I to do, what we're all to do. And what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's continue to read. When David arrived at the summit where people used to worship God, Hushai the Archite was there to meet him, his robe torn and dust on his head. David said to him, "If you go with me, you will be a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, 'I will be your servant, O king. I was your father's servant in the past, but now I will be your servant,' then you can help me by frustrating Ahithophel's advice. Won't the priest Zodak and Abiathar be there with you? Tell them anything you hear in the king's palace. Their two sons, Ahimaaz, son of Zodok, and Jonathan, son of Abiathar, are there with them. Send them to me with anything you hear." So David's friend Hushai arrived at Jerusalem as Absalom was entering the city. And the drama will continue. And the story will continue. It's a lot here. This is a lot. A lot. Let's, what kind of thoughts? David was preparing. He was like, okay, either the Lord's going to have me return to the city and I'm going to be king over it, or the Lord's through with me. And he was also praying that this person that Absalom would look to, Ahithophel, would give him foolish counsel, because he was worried because, a lot of people in David's court were very knowledgeable. And so he wanted to send someone back, and he did. He sent Hushai back to, because he knew that possibly Absalom would also listen to Hushai. So bringing past to present, sometimes we do have to do something. Like sometimes the Lord will say, hey, go to this person, talk to them about something, and then that helps make catastrophes better. You could end up seeking counsel or help from somebody, a pastor, a friend, an acquaintance, whom it may be. You can maybe sharing information, and then you can, and then in turn it helps you out, and in turn it helps everybody out. At a job too, you could end up talking to someone. You have that feeling that you need to say something, and the Lord gives you that feeling. Yes, talk to someone, talk to this person. You do, and then boom, turn around. You whatever issue is now resolved. You got a new job. You got can always turn negatives into positives. You never know. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? Let's do a quick review. David and Bathsheba. David was lusting. David was like, woo wee. Here's another fine woman, even though he has several. So he's still human. He's still a man, and that's what he wanted to do. And to the point where he even had her husband, because she was married, murdered. Was that wrong? Absolutely. And now we know that there's consequences after. It's a casket. It's a waterfall. You think something little or something even big, it gets bigger and it gets worse, right? We can see it. Nathan the prophet went in and rebuked David immediately, and using a similar situation to what David just did to someone else. He's like, he told him, he was like, look, here's the story about rich man and poor man. The rich man basically stole from the poor man and everything that he had and left him. And David was like, as God is my witness, the poor man will be held righteous. I'm going after the rich man. And he's like, dude, that was you. This is what you did. And David, that's what it took. David understood. He was like, of course the Lord didn't not see that, did not. Of course the law saw what I did. And now I'm hearing about it. And then Nathan gave him a prophecy, and the prophecy's coming true, right? We went over Amnon and Tamar, how Amnon lusted after his sister, his half sister. And even Tamnar was trying to like, hey, okay, let's do this right, even though whether I'm interested in you or not, which it sounds like she wasn't, but she was like, there, what can she do? She was just, of the royal lineage, she was just a daughter. She was a princess and wasn't one potentially in line for the throne. So she had almost felt like she lost hope. She, and it's like, wow, just and she ends up being raped. And these are all people who are supposed to be following the way, right? Or the law at the time, the law, they're supposed to be following the law. And Absalom ends up hating Amnon for it and ends up killing him. It ends up killing him because of what he did to Tamar, his sister. And Absalom flees. Absalom flees, lives in Geshur, Geshur, and but then Joab knows that David wants to see all of his children, even though they're not doing so well in life. And so Absalom sets up to where he provides a woman a story, something similar again once to David in his life. And so the story was revealing to David, and David goes ahead and allows for Absalom to come back, but he doesn't want to see him for a little while. He still was angry. So Absalom tried to get Joab to talk for him, but Joab wouldn't do it. So Absalom once again went to an extreme measure, burnt all of Joab's crop. So Joab was furious because he was like, that was all his well-being. And so Joab finally went ahead and went to the king and Absalom and persuaded David to go ahead and see Absalom to forgive him. Absalom was able to go to David. David kissed him in recognition and forgiveness and such. Absalom then starts to want to take over and starts feeling that need to take over. And so he starts conspiring to take over. And it takes him a couple years to get all of Israel to love him. And when he does, then he actually starts implementing a takeover and even potentially to kill his own father at this point. But there's a lot going on. A lot going on. As you can see, it's not all fantastic in David's life, because we do make decisions as humans, and there are consequences to those decisions. And the Lord is justified with discipline. And so we just can seek forgiveness. We can seek forgiveness, and we can hope in our Lord and ask for his forgiveness. And each one of us deserves love. And that's what the Lord is. He is loving, and that's what the holy word is. The holy word has tons of wisdom. And the Lord can reveal to us his wisdom through his holy word. And so with that, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? I know I've went way over, but that's okay, because that was intentional for today. I knew this was going to go long. So next time we'll start in 2 Samuel chapter 16. Thank you so much for joining us in Another Lamp Bible Study. I know there's going to be lots of thoughts and feelings and such. If whatever you have there, comments, write it down. You can place comments in the YouTube page or the Instagram page. I pray and hope that we continue to seek wisdom together through the Holy Word, whether you agree or not. Because where there's two or more, there's the Lord. And we confess with our mouth, and we could talk to the Lord with our mouth, and we talk to each other, and that helps each and every one of us. And it helps our thought process and our understanding and our revelations with the Lord. And the Lord is rightly and just to reveal his wisdom to us. And so, again, I pray that we continue to seek the Lord's wisdom together. Thank you so much for joining me. Lamp Bible studies come out every Tuesdays and Thursdays, and of course, highlights throughout the week. Flashlights do come out on Fridays so far, and there's a contact on the YouTube page. There's an email contact. You can always send comments, suggestions, or if you want to do more with Lamp Bible Study, including being a reader sometime, you can always do that. Just hit me up anytime. Again, thank you for joining us. And I pray and hope that the Holy Spirit work through you, and because I've said in my own in Bible studies and Sunday school classes and such, sometimes the story will be about, or the lesson will be about one thing, and I get something completely different, and that's okay, and as it's from the Holy, as long as it's from the Holy Spirit and it's correct, it comes correct, and I feel at peace and I feel fed. I feel fed with that too as well. And whenever there is those things, and then taboo topics, things that are hot and heated and passionate, everybody has passion about, it's always great to give those to the Lord too, and have the Lord bring you peace, and have the Lord bring you wisdom and revelations to us, including myself. I'm not saying I'm right on anything, and I'm just saying what I believe, I feel reading and understanding, and as well as what portion of my life I'm at, and what I'm gathering from what the Holy Spirit and what the wisdom is telling me. And so I have faith and I have belief that it's correct, but I'm still seeking wisdom and I'm still seeking understanding. So words and meanings and such may not be correct, but I have faith in the Holy Word and the Holy Spirit that I will be, that it will come out correctly, or that I will understand. If I don't understand now, I will understand. I will gain more wisdom and understanding. And I hope and pray that we all are like that, because this book is filled of love, and that's what we want to do. We want to spread love to each other as well. So once again, please continue to pray for me, and I always will continue to pray for you, definitely, because that's what we need, love, and that's what the Lord God wants to give us. So another fantastic Lamp Bible study, very deep, very, very thorough. I want to spend more time, but I know this video is going to take a long time to even upload. So once again, thank you so much for joining. I hope we continue to study and seek the Lord's wisdom together in Lamp Bible Study. So wherever you are, have a blessed morning, a blessed day, a blessed evening, a blessed night. God bless.